That being said, man, today's episode is brought to you by the good people over at DraftKings. You know, the leader in, sportsbook and stuff like that, because they are absolutely phenomenal and they're safe, secure, and more importantly, Deke, they are reliable.
Absolutely.
And we know we got first time people out there because this is my first time back, right? I was gone. This is my first time back. We all were first at one point in our life. But for those first time users out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, MOATS, you'll receive up to $1,000 in draft deposit bonus money, which is awesome because it's essentially free money, Deke. We always talk about big Deke investments and things like that. We always talk about, hey, man, I like these odds. I don't like those odds. Well, what if I tell you, Deke, hey, you going to put 500 in? You use the promo code MOATS? Well, I'm going to give you another free 500 to put in as well. That's the concept. It is that simple, ladies and gentlemen. It is that simple. So shout out to DraftKings. But we also know you got to be responsible, right? And that's why we got these disclaimers. But, I'm not a big reading guy. So I'm going to just post it up here and let y'all read it. But what they say in church is, if you know somebody that needs some help, you better call 1-800-GAMBLER. Wow, yeah. If you got a gambling problem, whoa, better call that number 1-800-GAMBLER. Yeah. In his growth, he looks really good this season.
Yeah. Is that what we're transitioning to next?
Because he's played himself into a draft position.
Yeah, his draft stock
skyrocketed, right?
I don't even know where he would have been drafted last year.
He
5th or 6th round
at best, maybe.
Now it's probably second. Now they're saying like late first. He might actually be top 3 quarterback prospect right now.
I've heard people say he could have been the Mac Jones to Bama. That's how he's playing right now. Hey, man.
Obviously, he's not having the season Burrow had. But yeah, Burrow, where was he at going into his last season in LSU in terms of NFL draft prospect? Probably undrafted, 5th, 6th round. Man. So Pickett, especially in the quarterback class right now, last year, I don't know where he would have stood amongst those quarterbacks because I think those 5 guys, they were going to go early first round no matter what. But yeah, this year, who knows? I know you're cheesing so hard right now.
I'm recovering. I'm just happy to be here. Who
would have thought Pickett's greatness this year?
Just happy to be here. So do you like him over Haskins?
Because I'm not going to rip on Pickett.
Would you like Kenny Pickett over Dwayne Haskins? Based on what we've seen so far.
You're trying to word this all nice and get good questions.
Asking.
No, that's a fair question.
Because that's a guy that potentially is waiting in the wings, right? Dwayne Haskins. Would you take a Kenny Pickett?
That's worth a competition.
Okay.
That's worth a competition for sure.
How do you feel about him versus Mason Rudolph? Because
I think it's the same thing, competition.
Because I've seen people, especially locally, they say they take Kenny Pickett over Mason 100% right now.
I don't really have a big rebuttal to that because I don't think Mason or Haskins has proved to be this guy we should be waiting on. They're technically the guys that are waiting in the wing right now. Right, that's what I mean. It's worth the competition. I don't think if you... All right, so let me just throw this scenario out here. I want Ben Roethlisberger to be the Steelers quarterback 2022.
Forever. We got you. Not even 2022.
Sure.
Forever.
Sure.
Forever.
So this whole us drafting Pickett, the only way that happens if Ben decides, and he decides, not that we run him out, because I'm going to be pissed about that. But if Ben says, hey, man, it's been a good run. I want to retire. I want to play some golf, spend some time with the family. And our quarterbacks on the roster heading into next year's draft are Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Then I think it's a conversation. To have. I don't know if it's something that you just... if you're drafting...
Are you sold on him, though?
Pickett as like a pro QB1, prospect?
Yeah.
As a pro prospect?
Because I think it's a difference between a guy having a great season... I don't know if I'm sold on any of these guys
for pro prospects.
Right, because I think that's the difference, right? We talk about a guy having a really good season versus a guy being a pro prospect. Tim Tebow was one of the best college quarterbacks you will ever see. But we know him as a pro. What? 1 playoff win? I had to do it. I'm sorry. I had to do it. But as a pro, it wasn't the same, right? And we can go down the list, whether it's Manziel, whether it's Sam Bradford, whether any of these quarterbacks.
I think Manziel screwed him. I thought he could actually been decent. He screwed himself.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
It didn't.
If anything, right. Kenny Pickett comps to Manziel kind of good, I think.
You think so?
I think
Manziel was a little more electric.
He had way more speed. But in terms of arm, it doesn't look like Pickett has like the greatest arm talent of all time, but I didn't think Manziel did either.
And I'll say this: I think Pickett is more mobile than I thought. Watching that Clemson game, he definitely moved better than I thought he moved. I didn't know he could do that, especially in that second half. Some of the yards, like the first time he picked up,
he clutched up. So, are we saying? All right. So, what are we saying here? Do you want to?
Would you draft Kenny Pickett next year if Kenny Pickett is the quarterback on the board now?
So that means not drafting an offensive lineman, not drafting a cornerback. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we drafted him, I think it should be a competition. I don't think it's something you just give to him. But then that's the question. Why are we drafting someone in the first round?
If you think it's a competition, right?
For a competition. Yeah. Because if you're doing that, you're basically going to make that dude the guy, whether it's that season or going forward. Because I'm even looking back to like the Raiders. They draft Derek Carr in the second round. Or how many times have you seen it when you draft a guy first, second round? You let them wait a few games. You let them wait that season, but you're trying to have them be the guy for the future.
Right.
Because if that's not the case, it's basically a wasted draft pick.
I would agree.
I don't know, dude. I think it's so early with this stuff. It's so early.
You think so, though?
I do. Because, dude, we have so much left in the season.
No, I understand we have a lot left in the season. 100% we do. But in the sense of outside of Deke, people do think that quarterback could be something that the Steelers are going to be looking to address this offseason, whether it's through free agency or through the draft.
And that naturally might be the case because Ben is 39 years old. He might want to retire. That could be the case, but I could see a scenario. Like in my mind, I'm seeing the scenario of we go on this run. Offensive line looks better.
Okay. Offensive line looks better. Now you don't have to draft O lineman.
Yeah. Offensive line looks better. We go on a playoff run. Hopefully a Super Bowl. Yeah. It's like, why not have Ben back? If he's healthy and wants to come back and offensive line's improving, our talent on offense is pretty much going to stay the same. I'd rather have him back there.
I mean, I know
that's
you
what
do. I know you do.
So that's like my mindset in terms of thinking, do we even draft Pickett? But outside of that, let's just say.
Because I know people bring up the hip now. I mean, you see him, but I thought he had grew a little bit. I was like, but that thing thick. That was the pad. Oh, why ain't no way having to say him over there? What that thing with pop? Thought you from the South all of a sudden.
But even the scenario of what do our corners look like? What does our offensive line look like? It's just so early for me. I'm not. I get it. I get it. I just
because it's legitimate now. I mean, like
it's a legitimate. Yeah. I get it. It's a legitimate conversation to be talking about addressing a future quarterback,
and especially when you talk about the other quarterbacks that were supposed to be the guys coming out. Right? Was it Howell at UNC?
He sucks.
Willis over at Liberty. Right? We talked about certain guys.
What happened to him? He's fallen off a little bit.
Exactly. That's it. But now you get the emergence of a Kenny Pickett, and it's like, okay, well, if those were the two guys that were supposed to be the front runners, right? We talked about Spencer Rattler. He was this guy who was supposed to be a good quarterback, right?
That's the one thing that's crazy to me with all this is like Mel Kiper, I think, had him as the number one quarterback prospect, and now he's like 30th.
Yes.
He's obviously he hasn't played good this year, but it's just hilarious how your thought on him as a quarterback prospect can change that mess. Like, what changed? What really changed with him? Maybe he's making some worse decisions, but as a quarterback
decision making isn't good.
For him to go for your number one guy to 30th?
But this is my thing. His decision making isn't good. It's not. And that quarterback, especially at the NFL, at college, you can get away with it. College, you could turn the ball because, the talent gap is just so great at times. You could turn the ball and we'll still find a way to win. At the NFL, every possession matters. Every possession matters. We know that. That's why you can't. That's why it's always important. Man, we talk about 2 turnovers in the game. We're like, bro, that's a lot. You can't have 2 turnovers. That's the NFL, though. And Spencer, his decision making this season has proven that, hey, man, you're not ready for that life yet. No, that's the difference of your Sam Darnold's versus your Ben Roethlisberger's, right? When Ben is Ben, he's not turning that rock over like that. Even when he did, it was never to that extent. The quarterbacks that protect the ball, those are the guys that last. Those are the guys that become elite or really good. And the guys that turn the ball over, those are the guys that kill your franchise. So that's why, to me, when I look at Spencer and his rating dropping, I'm like, that's why. That boy, hey, man, you got to protect the rock. Got to have better decision making. And right now, he just hasn't shown that he could do that. Now, I don't know what the reason behind that is because he's still very talented, size, arm strength, all those things. But if you can't fix this part, you can't take that chance on a guy like that.
Yeah, with Pickett compared to these other quarterbacks, I'll be honest with you, I don't know why he couldn't be the number one quarterback prospect right now. Like him versus Corral, I don't think that dude's that good. No, he's fine. I think he's a really good college quarterback. I don't know how a lot of people are talking about him being this amazing quarterback prospect for the next level. I don't know if I'm seeing that. I haven't watched enough of him, but just right off the bat, like why wouldn't you take Kenny Pickett, or why isn't it a legit conversation between Kenny Pickett and like maybe the top 3 or 4 guys?
But if you're the Steelers and you need a quarterback,
so far with how the college football season's played out, like he's legitimately in the Heisman conversation now, top 3 quarterback.
And could you deal with the fact that he's in-house? You share a facility with him, and you pass on.
They already did that.
I know. That's you see what I'm saying? Could you do that again?
I looked at the timeline for that.
Could you do it again?
I looked at the timeline for that. If we take Marino, like Marino's done in like it was like 2000 or something like that.
So we still can get your boy too.
That's what I mean. It could have been like how the Packers had like star. Although they didn't go from star to far.
No, it was a little bit of a drop, but
but like 3 quarterbacks that are goated like that. We could have had that.
It was there.
Have you watched that documentary though on the '84 draft?
I did not.
With Marino and Elway. Marino says in it, he's like, it was actually a really good thing for my career to go down to Miami because I had too much stuff going on in Pittsburgh to get away.
No, I'm with
almost like James Conner going to the Cardinals now.
I think of Haskins. I told myself all the time, I was like, I was glad the 2 places I didn't go, DC, because it was Washington at the time, right? In Carolina, I was like, it's too close to the crib. I could not be there and still be a successful player. It was just too much going on. That's real. It happens like that. Some guys, you got to get away.
What I think Pickett has in his favor versus Marino is Pickett even. I don't think Pickett's from here. I don't know where he's from. Is he from PA though? Is he from around here?
Somebody I was reading about where he was from too, and I totally forgot.
So that's one thing in his favor versus Marino.
Yeah, he's not a local guy though. Yeah.
Not from here, and the Kenny Pickett like love affair that's going on right now has really been starting. Right, I know the hype's always happened going into each season, whether sophomore year, junior year, even last year. Yeah. But like he hasn't been able to sustain it where it's like everyone's like all about Pickett. Marino from freshman year, coming from Central.
Shoot, like even James Conner.
You're right, exactly.
James, like man, when I came here from Buffalo, I knew who James Conner was, and I wasn't even watching Pitt, bro. I knew about James Conner if I knew about Aaron Donald. Think about that. And it was like, oh, okay, now I see what's happening over here.
Yeah, so he's from New Jersey.
Yeah,
he's from New Jersey. So I don't think the pressure would be the same for Pickett as it would be for Marino if he was drafted here. That's my thoughts. Because he's not from here. The hype has only really started recently because of his Heisman candidacy. So I think it would just happen so fast. Yeah. Whereas like there was so much an attachment with Marino. I would agree. High school here, Pitt, the 4 years. It's weird though because you could see the positives and negatives to it though.
Could you pass on him though if he's available to you, with him playing like how he's been playing, and knowing the quarterbacks that are on the roster right now, right? If Ben isn't here for the next 30 years, right? Ben is out the equation. We're just talking Mason and Haskins. Mason and Haskins on this roster. Do you take a Kenny Pickett?
I think it's a legitimate conversation. It's definitely a legitimate conversation. I definitely do. Yeah. I think it should be an open competition though. I just don't like spending a draft pick.
You can't spend a top 2 draft pick on a competition at quarterback. I just don't believe it.
That's where it gets interesting.
Yeah. Because for all that, I'm like, give me a surefire tackle. Give me a surefire corner.
If you're taking him, I mean, who do you have left on the roster? Do you trade Mason? Because that's a bad look then, right?
Not necessarily.
Or even bring back Haskins. I guess bringing back Haskins would make more sense than keeping Mason, because I think you would trade Mason.
Yeah, if I'm going to draft a quarterback in the first round or the second round, I'm going to trade Mason.
Trade Mason, but keep Haskins on upside.
Yeah, because Haskins has upside. We already know Haskins has the talent. It's just more so, can you put it all together consistently? Now, you had an audition this offseason. It was enough to keep you here. But next offseason, you don't get that same luxury. We don't talk about him the same way we talk. No, we talk about him the way we're going to talk about Mason. The way we talked about Mason this year is how we're going to look at Haskins next year. That's just how it goes.
It's a combo.
It is.
It would be a conversation. Man. For me, if Ben wants to come back, he lights it up rest of the season. I think we stick with him. If he wants to come back, you know what I mean? He's healthy and everything.
I understand
because
that
I think that makes sense. But yeah, if that doesn't happen, for sure it's a legit conversation. Yeah. It really is.
And then we still got the caveat of Coach Tomlin saying that he wants a veteran, not a drafted guy. So that kind of plays into it as well.
What does that mean? Is that a plus for Mason? Is that a plus?
No, because Mason isn't a veteran just yet. When we talk about Mason, we're talking about veteran. We're talking about, we know Rodgers is the name that people pull up, but like guys who have been in the league and have had success in the league. That's what I'm talking. Like Tannehill to Tennessee, veteran guy. Right. That's what I'm talking about. Like even we say Deshaun Watson, right? If Deshaun doesn't have the negativity, he's a veteran guy who's been in the league. That's what we're talking about. Not Mason, because
not
he's been
Mason.
Right. Okay. Just years don't equal veteran status. You got to be out there playing. You know what I mean?
That's another interesting point too.
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's just so early with all this stuff. Like we don't know
agree,
who's going to be available.
Well, it's only fun
Ben
because,
coming back or not.
It's fun
I get
because
it,
of the situation right now, and it's happening right here in our backyard. How can we have a Heisman favorite in our backyard, and we not talk about him at quarterback? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not even a shot at Mason or Haskins in terms of us believing in them or not believing in them, right? But this dude is in our backyard.
Might be a Heisman.
Yeah. We should have a facility. They walk in this door, we walk in that door. They practice on that field, we practice on this field. We share the same indoor. We only have one indoor. You know what I mean? It's like, come on now.